The movie Chef is a Jon Favreau special, and I'm a big fan of Jon Favreau. He has been heavily involved in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the early stages of that and the development of that, as well as this movie being a specific example of why his stuff is so great. Let's just go through this. It's a really good hero's journey. Should be nice and simple. Here we go. The ordinary world is set up right off the top of the movie. So you have this chef, Carl Casper, who is clearly amazing at his job, but he kind of sucks as a dad. You know, his kid always seems to come second to his job. He's just too busy, right? We have the external problem, right? He has a boss who stifles his creativity because it makes money, right? The boss says that he thinks that the chef should play his hits, convincing him to stick with his old menu and not go and try and develop creatively. Now, his internal problem is that his job keeps him too busy to be able to connect with his son, right? He's late to pick up his son, and then even when he does, he only really does things that he needs to do for his work and largely ignores his son, and his son's kind of a distraction to the work he needs to do. He can't express who he is as a chef, so he doesn't express himself as a father, right? When he sticks to what he's always done, which is to bend to the stress of his work, he fails. He reads the food blog out and it gets a bad review, right? And he's disappointed that he didn't follow his instincts to do what he wanted to do. The herald in this moment is the internet, it's social media. And it's the first sign that the ordinary world rules aren't going to keep working for him anymore. Now, because he spent the evening with his colleague, he was late to pick up his son and spent all day together, but they don't really connect, right? His work is still getting in the way of him being a good dad, right? Again, it's the second sign that the ordinary world rules are not working for him. So the first thing that they get here that will help them in the special world is the chef makes a cheese sandwich for his son, and his son says that it's really good, right? It's the idea that food can connect them, that the chef can show his son that he cares through food. Now the second thing is that his son signs him up for Twitter, and he finds out he's being trashed online and that the review has gone viral. Now, while that's bad for his ordinary world self, it's good for the special world version of him that's to come, because his kid tells him that he likes spending time figuring stuff out with his dad. And that's what will help solve his internal problem of being a bad dad. Now, the next step of all that, the chef tweets at the reviewer and there's a back and forth. And he ends up responding by throwing down the gauntlet, saying, "I'm going to cook a whole new menu." And that's the special world showing him that he can express himself, right? Which will hopefully solve his external problem. Now, in the meantime, his ex-wife also proposes a solution, which is that he can get a food truck, and because he doesn't have to work for anyone else, he can work for himself, he can be happy cooking the food he wants to cook, right? There's two sort of solutions proposed, one by him, one by his ex-wife, of how to solve his external problem. Chef Carl wants to make the new menu, but the boss tells him no. This is the ordinary world rejecting any new ideas, as it thinks that it will threaten their survival. And the consequences of that are that he walks out on the restaurant, and then they end up making the old menu and gets called out again by the reviewer on Twitter. When Chef Carl then makes a scene at the restaurant, which also goes viral, he loses his job. He has crossed past what the ordinary world can tolerate and steps into a special world where he doesn't have a job. He's told to lay low and that all the options available to him don't solve his external problem. Now, on top of that, he officially reneges on a promise he made to take his son to New Orleans. Right? He can't be a chef, and he's now the worst dad ever. And what's being shown is that he is now completely separated from his ordinary world, and he has to move on into the unknown world of food trucks to solve both his external and internal problems. His ex-wife offers to take him back to Miami and spend time with his son as the nanny. Now this is an opportunity for him to get back to his roots creatively and start again as a father. And one night they all go and see their grandpa performing, and they're together as a family, and they have a good time. Like, there is hope yet. They have Cubanos, which inspires the chef creatively, and his ex-wife gives him the confidence to try the food truck. Chef Carl takes the offer of the food truck, but the truck needs a lot of work. And he's left with his son, and his son helps him. But the problem is Chef Carl then treats him like an employee. This is the first real proper test of the special world. Can he be a chef and be a good dad? But he fails. The difference being that this time he knows he's screwed up. When he was in the ordinary world, he was less aware he was screwing up, or he was much more prepared to let himself off the hook for screwing up. He then takes his son to buy equipment and listens to him and includes him in the process. And in doing that, he buys his son a chef's knife and promises to teach him how to use it. Right? This is him combining being a chef and being a good dad. It's the first sign that he can do both. And the consequence is that he continues to do that by teaching him how to pick ingredients at the market, and they start to have a bit more fun. The kid thinks that they just could have bought the pork at the store. Why go to all the effort? So the next challenge for Chef Carl is to teach his son the right attitude about being a good chef. Which is also the way to be a good dad, right? Not just teach practical knowledge things, but what the right attitude to have with all those things are, right? It means that he and his son are now on the same page. They're connecting. His kid is now joining them on the truck in driving it back home. So the question is can Chef Carl be a chef and a dad? But now can he do it in a higher stakes environment when service is running, right? Now the kid uses Twitter to promote the truck, and all of these different things come together and it works out for them. Chef Carl is then rewarded by being able to actually make up for the promise he reneged on and go to New Orleans so that they can try beignets. They get to New Orleans and Chef and the kid go and get beignets just as father and son. It's just the two of them hanging out. This is him being a good dad. And because he's been a good dad, the work that his kid's been doing on social media pays off again. That combo then peaks in Austin, where they get fresh ingredients and they make a new menu and everyone is making suggestions and everyone is in a good place. Everyone's really happy. While they're in Austin, they get the call from the ex-wife and they accidentally say that they love each other and that the kid needs to be back before school starts. This is when reality hits home. There is a time frame on this. This road trip is not going to last forever. But also that they want to be a family again, that is something that would be good. So after service, Chef Carl speaks to his son and tells him that he's had a really good time. But that when they go back home, he's going to be really busy with the food truck and that his son's going to be really busy at school. That things will go back to the way they were before. Which upsets his son. There is no right or wrong thing to do with the information. It's amoral at this point. So he's warned his son, and it seems like the right thing to do. He doesn't want to hurt his feelings. He's trying to be a good dad. He's preparing him for disappointment. And he is disappointed, but at least he's being sensitive to his kids' needs and not being selfish. Which is making the right moral choice with amoral information. They get back home and they sort of say goodbye to each other, and when he drops his kid off at his ex-wife's place. And the kid reminds him to watch this 1 second a day video that the kid has been making. Now, when Chef Carl actually watches the video, he realizes that things can't and shouldn't go back to the way they were. That isn't what he wants or who he is as a father and as a chef anymore. In that moment, through the love of his kid, he is no longer the guy he used to be, and he's reborn as this new version of himself. He calls his son to tell him that he can work on the truck. This is him being a good dad and being a good chef. We see the whole family on the food truck working together. Chef Carl is back into his new ordinary world. And he's still a good dad and a creative chef and making all the things work. The changes he's made have survived beyond the special world. He is still who he is. He's crossed the threshold. The reviewer shows up and asks to speak to the chef. And they end up clearing the air over everything that happened at the start of the movie, and the reviewer then offers him a restaurant. This is showing that Chef Carl can now speak from the ordinary world's perspective regarding what happened, but also explain who he is now. The new restaurant is up and running, and there is a wedding going on. And it's Chef Carl getting remarried to his ex-wife. This is them being a family again. This is them showing that Chef Carl can live freely and be himself in this new ordinary world with his external and internal problems solved. That's it. That's the whole movie. That is the whole hero's journey broken down. If you have any thoughts or questions, please leave them in the comments below. I will get to them if I can. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe below. And I'll see you next week with another video. Thanks very much. Peace.